Recording in progress.
I will ring the bell 3 times, inviting us to come to a resting state in your body. It's a cold day and we need some warmth. We find that warmth from internet, not internet. Breathe in and breathe out. With this last sound that you hear, you are transcending any worries from this day, this week. And your eyes gently closed, back straight, awareness directed to your breath. Take a deep breath in, bring your shoulders up and drop your shoulders as you breathe out. Let's do that 3 more times. Breathe in and breathe out with some body relaxations. Scan your body to also adjust, and you can do that anytime during this meditation, even after this scanning. It is very important to relax bodily and have no pain, no numbness, so that your attention remains directed to your breath. So we will bring a pleasant smile to your heart, to the lips, to your mind. With that pleasant attitude, you spread that across your face. Your countenance is serene. The top of your head, the back of your head, relaxed. Your neck also relaxed and aligned with your spine. Your upper back, mid back, lower back, relaxed. Shoulders relaxed. Your arms, palms, and fingers all resting and relaxed. Any tension, any tightness in your entire upper body, release that tension, relax your body. Your attention may naturally go to your breath, but continue to relax your knees and legs, shin bones. You are getting deeply rooted to the ground below. Not very much moving unless you have to. And when you move, don't judge yourself. You are doing an act of loving kindness to yourself. Same goes for scratching your throat, anything else your body demands from you. And we need a basic understanding on our six sense faculties: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. And external sense objects: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. And six classes of consciousness that interact with each activity: seeing activity, hearing activity, and so on. But now, since your eyes are closed, eye consciousness does not manifest. Ear consciousness occasionally arises. So your nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, begin to relax, and the brain begins to experience coolness. And smelling, tasting also are not happening now. And when the body is relaxed, not many physical sensations unless you pay attention to them. Thinking is wholesome this time, therefore there is nothing to worry about agitations. If any negative thought arise, let them come and go. You are not doing it, it's happening. And the next gateway to tranquility is letting go of past and future, coming to what is happening now. And we will choose the breath that is happening now. The breath that has no color, no shape, and continuous presence here and now. So mindfully you breathe in and mindfully you breathe out. Don't worry, this is guided. Anytime you are distracted, you come back to your breath. Notice the moment when the breath stops and then starts fresh. Starting and ending of the breath with each inhale and each exhale. 4 places to notice which require extra effort and mindfulness or full mindedness. Now drop the 4 points and come to just sensations of the breath. Sensations you feel as you breathe in and out through your nostrils. Now notice what is moving. Your shoulders are moving with each breath. Your lungs shrinking and expanding. Now notice deep breath and shallow breath moments as they happen. Now notice tranquility in your body as you breathe in and breathe out. Attention goes to breath, tranquility, deepness, shallowness, things involving your breath. Everything slows down. There is awareness that there is a body, not many mental activities happening involving the body. So you let the body be and connect with the space around you, space beyond this building, space in the sky, signlessness in some ways, openness, and the space between two thoughts that is noticeable. Luminosity of your own mind, the radiance. Connect with any of those sources of being. Those are free from doings, just being. You can come back to subtle breathing sensations. You have come home to this moment. Unplugged from the world, families, to true healing by just being and letting go and relinquishing. You can come out of your meditation. And how was it? Were you able to follow? Great. Were you there when I said you can leave the body here and then connect with the space? Was it easy?
Distracted.
You were distracted? Yes, that can happen. Sometimes good sleep before meditation helps, so that your body is really well rested and you can easily connect with some energy that's very stable in your body, like a nap, and the mind is very quiet out. It's easier. Yeah. How was it for you?
I also felt very distracted by my thoughts, and disconnecting from my body felt like tunneling into the thoughts and giving them attention that I usually don't by distracting myself with motion. So I was thinking about many little small interactions I had today and how I like this person, I don't like this person. It felt very like useless thoughts. I don't know if I want to process them or not. Yeah.
No, but that can happen. And this is not your first time meditating, right?
Second.
This is the second. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That tells it. Thoughts, as I said in the meditation, we have these six ways we get distracted. Thoughts are one of them, and we keep coming back to the breath, and that way there's something for us to do instead of thinking, because thinking is something we do all day as long as we are awake, and it's okay. Not all thoughts are bad. Thoughts will disappear on their own without us doing much. And I think one thing you did was like people that you like or dislike. So there's a great opportunity to notice loving kindness there. Um, and it's not a great place to begin um, loving the ones that you dislike. It's best you begin with yourself, and then gradually go to people you love. It's easy to love them, and then go to neutral people. So you change the form of your focus of your meditation to loving kindness here. You can use a little bit of breathing in the beginning, and ultimately you go to the people that you don't like, and you go to as many people, as many enemies as you have, and you radiate loving kindness to them. You visualize them smiling and happy. When you are done, you radiate loving kindness to all beings in the entire universe, in all the directions. So then you feel some sense of liberation and freedom, because that division, liking, disliking, is no more in that state of mind. You can see how much work it takes to really find, to even think, I like this person, I don't like that. Instead, we choose to just, let that liking, disliking go, and just, I'm sending loving kindness wherever it is needed. That that state of mind, which is also a mind that we experience sometimes, but not something that we always have. So cultivating that can help cultivating that mindset. So when I meditate, I switch between loving kindness to breathing to awakened mind and qualities that I like to develop. And so I have many choices there. and they help. And it gets better over the time. In 30 minutes, you can only do so much. Kelly?
Found it pretty easy to let go of some of my thoughts that I've been worrying and stuff.
In the very beginning, because I said that with the bell? Or that did? Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So you didn't have the problem that Virginia had. Oh, it's not a problem. It's just the work you did, right? Yeah. See, what we try to, we are beings who do things. So we try to actively do things in meditation. But toward the end, we discovered that we can just be. Yeah. And for me, I didn't want to come out of the meditation. I wanted to stay. I felt great. Anything else for you?
Sometimes I do feel a little bit like temptation to start strategizing about things I have to do.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten rid of that. And then it starts to go to, oh, I have to do that thing. How should I do it? But I was able to just kind of like, let's not do that. Just
Yeah. One. Yeah, we need to unplug and just be. And then I think the strategizing gets easier. So, yeah. Otherwise, we don't have a pause, like the curtain between all the other things that are happening in life and what we really want to do. So life becomes a little bit easier that way. Maggie, anything to add? Anything you want to say?
I also agree that I didn't want to come out of the meditation because I found that at first it was hard to let go of my thoughts, and then I focused on my breath and I found I wasn't thinking. Um, and yeah, I didn't want to go back to thinking when my eyes were open.
You and I were doing the same thing, kind of in the same states. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Yeah, I could no longer give the instructions. I had to pause. I had to just let you all do it, figure it out. I thought, I didn't have to say much. I didn't have to force it. So wonderful. All right, we have something to read, discuss today. Could you please give this to, actually this set, yeah. This is not a big subject. What Buddhism say about illness. And I wanted to discuss this, okay, because I met with someone who's dealing with an illness today, and the fear of what may happen seems to be the driving force of their life right now. But before that, they had many things that they wanted to do. And I think this is this is a terminal illness, as they have discovered, and especially with what doctors say that you have only 3 more years to live, then a lot of things um, happen in your mind. One of the things that happens is that you start to prioritize your goals in life. And, I have also worked as a chaplain in hospital and hospice settings, and I know people say, I have unfinished business. I'm not ready to go. So, and that is weighing on them. Book projects they want to do, and it can be something so meaningful to them. And degrees they like to, finish, like getting a PhD so that they can be proud, or moving to a nature location, some place where there are trees and nature, not the building they have been living in. And they are all important, but when you get that news, it starts to control our life. And sometimes some people feel a relief knowing that they get that news, and now they can finally think about the closure for their lives. So that's with that comes a sense of relief. And sometimes some people can continue to live, beyond the 3 years period. They continue living 20 years, 30 years. And how is that possible, right? So that is quite possible, and I believe, to the person who came to see me today, I said, if they didn't have a consistent meditation practice, in this case, this person didn't have one. So I encourage to have a good meditation practice. And I see benefits of that in my life. And it gets better as you do it. And your awareness gets refined, or, your focus of life gets, you start to live life with wonderment, gratitude, appreciation. And you can start to sense the silence in nature, how slow things are, and appreciate nature in, color changes and all the fluency of silence coming from trees. You can start to, be with the trees and nature. So every second becomes a magic for this kind of mindset. So let's talk about illness. What does Buddhism say about it? We can read it a little bit and discuss. Buddhism offers profound perspectives on illness, viewing it as an inherent part of human existence. Here are some key insights. Number one, illness as a reality of life. Buddhism recognizes illness as one of the inevitable forms of suffering, dukkha, along with aging and death. The first of the Four Noble Truths states that suffering is an intrinsic part of life, and illness is a clear manifestation of this truth. But this doesn't mean that life is suffering. There is happiness also in life, but there is suffering and the way to overcome it. And meditation has answers how not to suffer, how not to mentally suffer. Physical pain can occur, but suffering mentally doubles that pain. And meditation insights help us to unwrap these mental pains, especially unwrapping or understanding fear as a mental construct, and fear of getting sick, or fear of what may happen when you get news on terminal illness. What may happen to you, what may happen to your families, and all that. So that can be deconstructed. Number two, the concept of impermanence, anicca. Illness is seen as a reminder of the impermanent nature of all things, including the body. Understanding this can help reduce attachment and fear, fostering a sense of peace even in difficult times. knowing that I knew this could happen. It's not that something is wrong with me. It is that something is right with me, and I am subjected to illness. And then number 3, some people think that it's past karma that influences them, karma and causes. While some illness may be seen as the result of past actions, karma, Buddhism does not promote a fatalistic view. It emphasizes that current actions, including cultivating a healthy mind and body, can influence one's well-being. For example, famous actor Matthew Ricard? No, not him. He's a monk. So there's this actor who was alcoholic, and he ended up dying, not living the full lifespan. So that's karma. That is kind of a choice they made to drink continuously, and finally they could not control it, and as a result they faced early death. It's a choice. It's karmic. It's karmic in that sense that it is action that they chose that led them to that inevitable result. So that's how karma can be understood. Not everything that we experience now is based on past karma, because we also experience life. Unlike people who are sick, who are dying, we experience life. We are healthy, and that can be a great thing that we can celebrate. And mindfulness and healing, number 4. Buddhist practices like meditation and mindfulness encourage awareness of the body and mind, prompting a compassionate and non-judgmental approach to illness. These practices can help alleviate the mental suffering often associated with physical illness. So when the Buddha got sick, he asked monks to chant 7 factors of awakening. One of them is mindfulness. Just be mindful that you are sick, of course, but your mind is not sick. So we kind of have this separate sense that the body is sick, not the mind is. And that is very important, that when someone is sick, they can still, or when they have lost a part of their body, like a limb or something, they can imagine that it is still there and you are healthy, and you just have that as your healthy image of you. You know what I mean? Like you still have that whole body, and that you are healthy in you. And number 6, letting go of fear. Fear of illness and death is addressed through meditative practices that focus on understanding the nature of life and embracing it fully. This helps in embracing what here? Illness and death. These are embraced fully. This helps in reducing anxiety and cultivating equanimity. So if you view hunger as an illness and you don't have anything to eat for one whole day, and you just accept it, knowing that helps, right? And you build equanimity, and your body no longer craves food or have a duality that you must be eating and somebody must be giving you something. But you know for sure that there is no food until tomorrow. That knowing helps. So knowing about illness and death the same way that no one gets free from, no one escapes death, that helps. And it comes with illness sometimes. Buddhism teaches that while illness is unavoidable, the way one relates to it can transform suffering into a path for spiritual growth and deeper understanding. There are 2 stories, the Buddha and the sick monk. Kelly may remember this story. We had this in the thesis that you helped me edit. So One day the Buddha visited a monastery and found a sick monk lying alone in distress. The monk was suffering from dysentery, and no one was attending to him. So no one was attending to him because this monk has never helped anybody in his life. And the Buddha personally cleaned and cared for the monk, saying to his other monks, "Monks, you have no mother or father to care for you. If you do not care for each other, who will? Whoever would care for me, let him care for the sick." So if you are truly practicing his teaching, you must care for the sick. This is why I chose chaplaincy as part of my monastic duties and giving back to United States. So this story emphasizes the importance of compassion and service to others, especially during times of illness. It teaches that caring for the sick is an integral part of spiritual practice. It heals you. And having some awareness of illness helps that you don't grieve when somebody else is grieving. You just have compassion toward them, compassion which is not which is pure. So you know what to do, and you can cry, that's okay. You can grieve, that's okay. But if it is your family or friend, I think in that case, if you can be strong with awareness to what actually happens, that too helps. So all of you are not in that same situation. There's a famous teaching that hospitals in Sri Lanka has this as their entering like welcome line, which says, "Health is the greatest gift." This comes from the handbook of Buddhist Dhammapada, words of Dhamma. And this verse goes as, "Arogya parama labha santutti paramang dhanang vissasa paramanyati nibbanang paraman sukham." So arogya parama labha, the translation here is health is the greatest gift, which actually means you can have so much in your life, but if you don't have good health, you're not going to enjoy that so much you have. And this reminds me of a quote from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He says, "Man sacrifices his health to gain wealth, and then he sacrifices his wealth to regain that health." So, and I think it's this. Health is the greatest gift. We take it for granted sometimes. Eating habits, forgetting to exercise. I don't want to be judgmental here. And the Buddha says, of all wealth, contentment is the highest. You need to appreciate what you already have. You are content, not asking more. Trust is the best of relationships. Sometimes you keep relatives away from you because who you actually trust is your friend. Someone said, it's not my enemies that I worry about, it's my relatives and friends who, hear something and then they multiply it and then do destroying you. How people can do all these. Sometimes, enemies, it's clear what you should do about them. Yes. Anyway, and this verse at the end says, Nibbana is the highest bliss. There's another story, Kisa Gotami and the mustard seed. This is a famous story. Kisa Gotami means a skinny Gotami. Gotami is her name. She was a woman who lost her only child to illness. In her grief, she sought the Buddha, hoping he could bring her child back to life. The Buddha told her he could help if she brought him a mustard seed from a household that had never experienced death or suffering. Kisa Gautami went from house to house, but she could not find a single family untouched by loss. Eventually, she realized that suffering is universal. She returned to the Buddha, who comforted her and taught her about impermanence. So, when she was mentally not in a right place, the Buddha knew that she did not have the mindset to understand the teaching. So, she had to do that other thing to come to reality and then finally listen to the teachings. And this story illustrates how understanding the nature of suffering and impermanence can help one cope with personal loss and illness. There's another verse. This is Dhammapada 287. Truly, this body is frail, a nest of disease and perishing. Understanding this, the wise do not delight in the body. This is for monks, For lay people, they do delight in their body. They put makeup and they pursue passion and all that. For monks, they have chosen not to. They have chosen celibacy, so they look at body with this view. Sometimes the Buddha said, "This body is like a pot. It can break anytime, a clay pot." And he is preparing monks to the inevitable with that statement. Kumbhupamang kaya mimang viditva. This body is like a kumbha color. Is that a word that you knew?
Mm.
Yeah, kumbha, like a clay pot. Yeah. And next I have these other things that I've added. I'm not going to read, but I will just briefly mention that the Siddhartha Gautama, he was brought up as a prince, so he was kind of away from the problems in like human life. But when he saw first an aging person, it was a thing that awakened him. Like it's almost that he has never seen a person that old. He didn't know that that could happen. His parents were young. All the people he saw were young. His father didn't want him to see any elderly person really old. So he didn't see them that, he thought that's not possible. I don't know how someone could live 29 years not knowing that, but apparently seeing this person really old, it was an eye-opening experience for him. And then he saw a sick person who couldn't get up, who couldn't move, who couldn't clean himself, who was lying on his own filth and excrements and vomit. This was an eye-opening sight for him. And then he saw a dead body being carried away. This he thought, this is a message for me. And then he was looking for a way out. And then he saw someone who had become a monk, who has chosen to live a life of simplicity. And he saw, oh, this must be the way out. So illness, that way for him, was a messenger. And when the Buddha was sick, as I mentioned, toward the end of his life, he suffered from dysentery. And in one episode, he told Ananda, his attendant, even though his body was weak, his mind remained unwavering. He advised his followers to rely on the teachings as their guide after his passing and to cultivate self-reliance in their spiritual practice. The Buddha's response to his illness demonstrates the core of Buddhist teachings on mindfulness, equanimity, and acceptance of life's inevitable suffering. So, one last teaching. By oneself is one purified, by oneself is one defiled. No one can purify another. Purity and liberation come from within. Okay, so that's all for today. Any thoughts, any questions, anything interesting? Yep, Virginia?
Yeah, just knowing kind of the inevitability of death
Mm-hmm.
seems to be, from what you said, a way to like calming yourself to not have that uncertainty. But for someone like the person you were talking about who doesn't know how far away death is, or if it's a near term thing, how do you overcome the uncertainty in the near term? Like, am I going to die soon or not?
It's not about someone who is sick, about someone who is not sick also. The only good prediction about the future is that the future is uncertain. So worrying about it doesn't do any good to us. And understanding the true nature of the mind is to understand that worry is a waste of time. And that is how I would guide that person. And we will have continuous meetings and encourage new perspective of what is here and what life means to them now, and how best they can live whatever the time they have, and use the energy never to worry, but instead to cultivate great things like loving kindness all the way. And that this person was actually choosing a specific date to unalive themselves. And that is uh, something that I will continue discussing with this person, and to discourage that idea because of the fear that is driving them to be this way. That they compare themselves with another person who has similar illness, and that this person doesn't want to be the same way as that other person. So there's so much controlling which is not healthy for us. And there's a lot of thinking here, and that is also not necessary. The right mindset is to live your life taking one day at a time. And what needs to be killed is something in us, not all of us, not the whole body of us. So I would ask this person to continue living and finding answers by living life. Because we think we are taking the control of our life and direction the moment we decide to do something to us. But there is no control here. Mind is continuously changing, even in this very moment. When we understand that, we do understand that upon death there is no control of where we will be headed afterwards, that there is a spirit realm, there is hungry ghosts, and there is heaven, there is hell, and we don't know where we are headed. And I gave an example of a virtuous queen in Buddhist literature, but when she died, she remembered a bad thing she did. The bad thing is that she had sex with the dog. That's what the story says. This is really something that bothered her. Oh, I don't know how, somehow this entered her mind, no matter how virtuous she was. She had so much guilt for this act she did. And so the king went to the Buddha every day to ask where she was reborn. And the Buddha made the king forget this question by distracting him. 7 days after, she reappeared in a heavenly realm. So she only suffered for 7 days, apparently in this case. And on the seventh day, when the king finally asked what her destiny is, the Buddha said, okay, she's in so and so place now. She can continue to accrue merits and come to human state. So we don't have control over what's, in Buddhist understanding, human birth is so rare. Many beings, many trillions, uncountable number of beings are there who don't have the same capacity to be born as a human. So we are born and we have so much potential to be awakened. That's one goal we can have. And life that we have, no matter how sick we are, can be used to cultivate more divine qualities that we can cultivate as humans. So I would encourage that person to continue pursuing the mind exploration. Let the body be and not worry about it, because worrying makes them sicker. And, it's not helping at all. We have to live as if we didn't hear that. And that's why I think preparation now helps, having a consistent meditation practice and continuous awareness cultivation and knowing how to deal with illnesses. And that it's not only happening to us, it's happening to all people all the time. So perspective development. And I as a monk cannot ever encourage a person to unalive themselves. That's not possible. A couple of times I have stopped people from committing suicide. No matter how bad the situation is, I say find answers by living and let's do that together. Yeah. Anything else?
So human life is very precious.
Yeah.
At the same time, when I look at the overpopulation in the world, it seems like by overpopulating the world, it might bring more disastrous existence for all of us. I think that's one of the things that kind of go in my head that I have to kind of. I don't know if there is an answer, but there is something that.
I hear that rich people like Bill Gates are worried about these kind of questions too. And then there are conspiracy theories that, illnesses, like COVID were introduced to the world because they need to control population. But there has been disasters before, right? Hundreds years before, when pandemics were there, many people died. So it's not because of overpopulation. Apparently, there's a recycling that happens after every hundreds of years, and humans go through these illnesses, and there can be mass extinctions that happen. So it's hard to know, and I think we will just live and continue living. That's all we can do. So
Nature will take care of problems.
Nature will take care of its own problems. And humans, we don't know whether we are overpopulated at all. That's the conclusion that perhaps we think because we live in busy cities, but there's plenty of room for all of us humans to live. If only we just learn to let go of spending money on wars and instead caring for each other with what we have, there will be plenty of room for all of us and animals to live peacefully. But we are never learning it, unfortunately. We are sick here in the mind. Yeah. Maggie, anything else? Anything to add? Okay, no. Are we good? Okay, let's share merits. Please join me, join your palms together and join me with this wish. May suffering ones be suffering free and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect you and protect the teachings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, good night, everyone. See you next time. Thank you for coming.